As the evening crowd bustles along the busy city streets, the air is filled with the hum of conversations, the screech of tires, and the occasional honking of horns. Neon lights reflect off the wet pavement, casting vibrant hues across the faces of people going about their lives. Among them, Devin, a 10-year-old boy with a scruffy appearance and a small backpack, weaves through the crowd. Despite his circumstances, Devin is known for his kindness, always lending a hand to others, especially his neighbors in the modest, struggling neighborhood he calls home. Devin's mother works long hours, and he's used to taking care of himself, making sure he helps out wherever possible. His sharp eyes are always scanning the world around him, a trait that has helped him survive in an area where things are often unpredictable. As he waits near a crosswalk, his attention is suddenly caught by the sound of screeching tires. His head snaps up just in time to see a baby stroller, pushed by the wind or an unseen hand, rolling onto the street. Devin's heart races as he sees the stroller moving dangerously toward the oncoming traffic, completely unaware by the crowd of pedestrians rushing by. The stroller seems to be picking up speed, heading straight for the road as a large truck barrels down the street, the driver oblivious to the impending danger. Without a moment of hesitation, Devin pushes his way through the crowd, his small frame darting forward with urgency. His mind races, but his instincts take over. With one powerful burst of energy, Devin reaches the stroller just in time. He grabs hold of it, pulling it back with all his might. The truck, coming dangerously close, screeches to a halt inches away from him, the sound of tires on wet asphalt filling the air. The crowd around him erupts in gasps of surprise, and Devin stands there, catching his breath, the stroller safely back on the sidewalk. He glances down at the baby inside, who is crying softly but otherwise unharmed. Devin's heart pounds, but he remains calm, checking to make sure the baby is okay. This moment, however, is only the beginning of a chain of events that will forever change his life. What seemed like a routine evening in the city will soon turn into something Devin could have never imagined. Devin's heart pounds in his chest as he sprints toward the stroller. The sound of the truck's engine roars in his ears, growing louder with each passing second. Without a moment's thought, he lunges forward, weaving through the crowd of pedestrians and dodging the truck barreling toward him. His mind is sharp, but there's no time to think. All that matters is getting the baby out of harm's way. With a burst of speed, Devin reaches the stroller just as the truck screeches closer. He grabs the handles with both hands and yanks it backward with all his strength, pulling the baby out of the street just as the truck swerves around him. The deafening sound of tires on wet pavement fills the air as the massive vehicle narrowly misses him, its horn blaring as it passes by. Devin stumbles backward, his breath ragged as the stroller comes to a complete stop. He stands there for a moment, frozen in the sudden shock of what just happened. The truck drives past him, its tires screeching, but Devin doesn't even flinch. His focus is entirely on the baby. He looks down, making sure the child is unharmed. The baby is crying, but otherwise seems to be okay. Devin's hands are trembling as he slowly steadies the stroller, his chest heaving from the adrenaline rush. The crowd, who had been too distracted to notice the danger at first, erupts in gasps and applause. A few people shout words of praise, while others begin to snap photos of the heroic act. Their shock and awe are palpable as they realize what they've just witnessed. A boy, not even old enough to be in middle school, had risked his life to save an innocent child. Among the onlookers, a woman rushes forward with tears streaming down her face. She looks frantic, scanning the crowd until her eyes fall on the stroller. She runs to it, her voice shaking, as she breathes a sigh of relief upon seeing the baby safe and sound. "Oh, my God," she gasps, kneeling beside the stroller. "My baby. Thank you. Thank you so much." Devin steps back, trying to catch his breath, still processing what he just did. His chest is heavy with adrenaline, but he's already feeling the weight of the situation. The woman, now identified as the nanny, hugs the baby tightly, wiping away her tears as she looks at Devin with gratitude. "You saved his life," she says, her voice trembling. I can't believe you did that." Devin, ever humble, just nods. "I saw the stroller rolling. I just did what I had to do. I didn't want the baby to get hurt." The nanny continues to hold the baby, glancing at Devin with awe and disbelief. She begins to say something else, but before she can, another voice calls out from the crowd. "Are you okay? Are you all right?" A man steps forward, well-dressed, with a look of genuine concern on his face. He approaches the nanny and Devin, his eyes immediately locking onto the baby in her arms. He quickly glances at Devin, recognizing the gravity of the situation. "Thank you. You have no idea what you've done," the man says, his voice sincere, his gratitude palpable. "You saved my son." Devin looks up at the man, unsure of what to say. The realization hits him in waves. This man, this well-dressed businessman, is the father of the child he just saved. The man kneels down beside the stroller, his hand gently brushing the baby's face as he turns to Devin. "Thank you," the man repeats, a grateful smile crossing his face. "You're a hero." Devin, still in a daze from the ordeal, shakes his head, brushing off the praise. "I just did what anyone would do, sir." The man smiles wider, standing and placing a hand on Devin's shoulder. "You're more than just anyone," he says. "You're a hero, and you've just changed our lives." As the crowd continues to watch, the man exchanges a few more words with the nanny, then turns back to Devin. The gratitude in his eyes is clear, and Devin feels a weight settle in his chest, a mixture of disbelief and pride. He can't help but wonder if this moment will lead to something bigger. But for now, all that matters is that the baby is safe. The next chapter of his life is about to begin, one that he could never have imagined, but one that will change his future forever. Devin carefully cradles the baby in his arms, trying to shield it from the smoke and debris still swirling in the air. He's barely had a moment to catch his breath when the nanny, now kneeling next to him, looks up at him in shock. You saved him," she whispers, her voice trembling. "This is Leo, my employer's son." The mention of the name doesn't immediately register for Devin. He simply focuses on the child in his arms, making sure the baby's breathing is steady, relieved that the little one is unharmed despite the chaos. But the nanny's words start to sink in. "Leo," Devin repeats, looking at the baby with new eyes. The Leo." The nanny nods fervently. "Yes, Leo Grayson, the only son of Mr. Grayson, the owner of Grayson Enterprises." The recognition hits Devin like a wave, but the full weight of the moment still doesn't quite hit him. Leo is the son of one of the wealthiest men in the country, a reclusive billionaire whose face graces magazines and newspapers. Devin, however, is not overwhelmed by the baby's identity. He simply focuses on what's in front of him, ensuring Leo is safe and getting him to the nearest responders. As sirens wail in the distance, the sound of emergency vehicles arriving signals that help is near. Devin feels a gentle tug on his sleeve. It's one of the onlookers, a reporter who had been filming the entire scene. "Hey, kid," the reporter says with a sudden shift in tone. "Are you okay? I've been filming your rescue of this little guy. That was incredible." Devin looks up, startled by the attention, and instinctively shrugs. "I just did what anyone would do," he replies, his modesty shining through despite the situation. The reporter grins. "That's a real hero right there," he murmurs before snapping another picture, his lens clicking rapidly as he captures the moment. But the attention is only just beginning. The police arrive and the scene quickly spirals into a frenzy. The flashing lights from multiple squad cars and an ambulance flood the area, as officers and paramedics rush to tend to those injured by the blast. Meanwhile, a few officers approach Devon and the nanny, checking on the baby. One of them asks for identification, but the nanny remains focused on the child in her arms. Devon tries to step back to give them space, but the attention is now too much. A reporter from a local news outlet approaches him, microphone in hand. "Excuse me, son, can you tell us what happened here?" he asks, his camera poised in front of Devon's face. Devon stammers, feeling awkward under the intense spotlight. The baby was in the road and I saved him." Before he can say more, the reporter's voice rises in excitement. "This is Leo Grayson, the son of billionaire tech mogul, Mr. Grayson. Are you aware of what you just did, young man?" He pauses dramatically, letting the significance of the moment sink in. This could be big, really big. Devon doesn't know how to respond. His thoughts are racing, but all he can manage is a simple shrug. "I didn't do it for recognition," he says, his voice quiet but firm. "I just couldn't leave him there." The story, however, doesn't end with just the reporters. As the situation unfolds, more people begin gathering around the scene, phones out, sharing the moment on social media. Within minutes, the images of Devon holding the baby and saving him from the flames are posted across various platforms, gaining attention from millions of people worldwide. Meanwhile, the news outlets begin calling it the hero who saved a billionaire's son. The story goes viral almost instantly, with headlines of a young, brave boy rescuing the heir to one of the largest tech empires in the world. Devon, unaware of the full scope of the story, steps back, blending into the crowd as the emergency services finish their work and take Leo away for a checkup. Yet, through all the noise and excitement, the one thing Devon feels is a deep sense of fulfillment. He's saved a life. The future implications of this heroic act are far from his mind as he watches the scene unfold, unsure of how this will change his life. He never expected any recognition, but the attention he's now receiving is a lot to process. Despite the cameras flashing and the noise growing louder, Devon is just happy, knowing that Leo is safe. The next day, Devon is sitting at the kitchen table in his small apartment, his mind still reeling from the events of the previous day. The apartment is quiet, save for the sounds of his mother moving around the kitchen, preparing a simple meal. The weight of the previous day's events is heavy on Devon's mind, but he remains in a daze, unsure of how to process everything. He's trying to focus on something mundane, anything to distract himself from the incredible reality of what he had done. As he sits there, a sudden knock on the door pulls him from his thoughts. Devon glances up, a little confused, as it's unusual for anyone to visit. His mother walks over and opens the door, and standing there are two well-dressed men. One of them is tall and imposing, flanked by security guards, while the other is holding a small child in his arms. It takes Devon a moment to recognize who they are. "Mr. Grayson?" Devon says, his voice wavering with surprise. The billionaire stands before him dressed in a sharp suit, with his son Leo in his arms. The nanny stands beside them, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Devon," Mr. Grayson says, his voice warm but tinged with emotion. "I came to thank you. You saved my son's life. There's no way I can ever repay you for that." His eyes meet Devon's, and the sincerity in his tone is undeniable. Devon is speechless, standing frozen at the door. He hadn't expected anyone from the scene to track him down, let alone Mr. Grayson himself. He looks back toward his mother, who is now standing just behind him, her eyes wide with disbelief. Before Devon can find the words to respond, Mr. Grayson bends down and with a soft but firm hand on his shoulder says, "You're a hero, Devon. I'm forever grateful for your courage and quick thinking." His voice catches slightly as he looks down at Leo, still nestled safely in his arms. Devon, still unsure of how to react, stammers, I didn't do it for any reward. I just did what was right." Mr. Grayson smiles, the corners of his eyes crinkling. "That's exactly why I'm here. To thank you, personally. You don't know how much this means to me. To all of us." His gaze moves to Leo, who is resting peacefully in his nanny's arms. Devon's mother, who has been watching the entire exchange in stunned silence, now steps forward, her voice filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you, Devon," she says softly, her words carrying a weight of emotion. Devon's mother knows that her son's selflessness is rare in this world, and seeing a man like Mr. Grayson express his gratitude means more to her than anything else. Mr. Grayson turns to Devon's mother and nods. "You have every right to be proud. Your son's bravery saved my family." Devon, still trying to come to grips with the attention, shakes his head, muttering a humble response. "It was nothing. It was just a reflex." But Mr. Grayson insists it's never just a reflex to save someone's life. You acted without thinking about yourself. That's the mark of a true hero. For the first time, Devon begins to realize the enormity of the situation. The reality of his actions is starting to settle in, and he feels a mix of embarrassment and gratitude. "Thank you," he says quietly, still not fully able to comprehend what has just unfolded. Mr. Grayson stands up and with a serious but kind expression hands a sealed envelope to Devon. "This is for you and your family. I want to help. Please, take this." He hesitates for a moment before adding, "And I hope this is just the beginning of something much bigger for you." Devon's heart races as he takes the envelope, his mind still spinning. He looks at his mother, who gives him an encouraging smile. With a nervous yet thankful glance toward Mr. Grayson, Devon finally says, "Thank you. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Mr. Grayson replies with a smile. "Just know that this is only the start of something new for you. You deserve every opportunity." As Mr. Grayson and the nanny prepare to leave, Devon stands still holding the envelope in his hands. His life, once so small and filled with uncertainty, has just changed in a way he couldn't have imagined. And while he may not fully understand what the future holds, he now knows that he has a chance, something he never thought possible just a day before. As Mr. Grayson steps back from the door, his gaze remains focused on Devon. With a calm but firm voice, he begins, "Devon, I want to make sure your future is secure. You've demonstrated a level of bravery and selflessness that's rare, and you deserve the opportunity to fulfill your potential." Devon feels his stomach tighten as Mr. Grayson reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a document. It's an envelope, thicker than any letter Devon has ever received. Mr. Grayson extends the envelope to him, saying, "This is for you. It's a trust fund that I've set up, $500,000, specifically for your education and well-being. You can use it however you need, but I want you to have the future you deserve." Devon's hands tremble as he takes the envelope. The weight of it is almost too much for him to bear. His heart is racing, and his mind is flooded with thoughts of his family's struggles, of the neighborhood he grew up in, and of the life he never thought he would have. He looks at his mother, who's standing beside him, her eyes glistening with tears. She has always told him that hard work and dedication could change their lives, but even she never expected something like this. Mr. Grayson continues, seeing the shock and hesitation in Devon's eyes. "I know this might feel overwhelming," he says, "but this is just the start. You've inspired me, and I want to do more, not just for you, but for your community. I'm committed to investing in this neighborhood. Better schools, more community centers, youth programs, everything that can give children in your position the tools they need to succeed." Devon blinks, his breath caught in his throat. The idea of his community, his friends, having access to the opportunities he now has, what a profound impact that could make. But even as he absorbs the enormity of Mr. Grayson's generosity, the truth is that he never expected something so life-changing. Devon stammers, his voice shaky, "I don't know what to say. I didn't do it for this. I just wanted to help." Mr. Grayson smiles warmly. "I know, and that's exactly why I'm doing this. You've shown the world what it means to act with courage, regardless of your circumstances. But now I want to make sure you have the chance to succeed. And that means more than just one person. It means uplifting everyone." Devon looks down at the envelope in his hands and then back at Mr. Grayson. A deep breath escapes him as the enormity of the situation starts to sink in. This isn't just about him. It's about what he can do for the people around him, the community he's always called home. "I'll accept this," Devon says, his voice steadying, "but not just for me. If this helps my community, if it helps kids like me, then it's worth it. We all deserve a chance." Mr. Grayson nods, clearly moved by Devon's response. "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. You have a lot of potential, Devon. Don't waste it. This is just the beginning." As Mr. Grayson and the nanny prepare to leave, Devon watches them go, the weight of his new future starting to settle on his shoulders. His life has changed in a way he could never have predicted, and he's determined to make the most of this new beginning, not only for himself, but for those around him. Devon's life changes drastically after the rescue. News outlets across the city pick up the story, and soon, local television stations are calling him a hero. His face appears in the papers, and social media is flooded with admiration for the young boy who saved the billionaire's son in a split second. Despite the fame and the sudden spotlight, Devon stays grounded. He continues to live in the same modest apartment with his family, his mother by his side, and remains committed to his schoolwork, helping his neighbors, and being a good friend to the kids in his community. He shuns the glamour of fame, focused instead on what matters most: his family's well-being and his dream of giving back to the neighborhood that raised him. People from his community begin to see Devon differently, as the boy who did something extraordinary, but remains the same humble person. Devon uses his new opportunities to organize local fundraisers for the neighborhood, and he begins helping his friends with their schoolwork, always reminding them that they too have the potential to make a difference, just like he did. As the weeks pass, the community starts to change. Businesses donate to the schools, the community center gets a much-needed renovation, and programs designed to help underprivileged youth start popping up all over the city. Devon's quiet leadership sparks a movement, proving that a single act of kindness can lead to a ripple effect, changing not only his own life, but the lives of those around him. At a press conference held by Mr. Grayson to announce his continued investment in the neighborhood, the media gathered eagerly. Cameras flash, and microphones are held out as Mr. Grayson steps up to the podium, his voice calm, yet filled with conviction. Courage and kindness, Mr. Grayson begins, can come from anywhere, and Devin proved that one brave act can change lives. What he did for my son, he did for the future of our community. He's shown all of us that heroism doesn't require fame or fortune. It simply requires a willingness to do what's right, no matter the cost. The room falls silent as his words sink in. Mr. Grayson continues. Devin's actions didn't just save a life that day. They reminded us all of the power we hold as individuals to make a difference. And it is my honor to help him realize the potential that's always been inside of him. He's an inspiration to us all. As Devin listens from the side of the room, he feels a sense of pride, but also humility. This isn't about him, it's about the message. He knows that his actions, though small in comparison to the world's problems, have set something powerful into motion, and he's ready to keep pushing forward, helping others just as he has been helped, and showing others that even one small act of kindness can change everything. The story ends with a quiet shot of Devin walking down his neighborhood street, surrounded by his friends and family. He smiles at the kids running past him, his heart full, knowing that his life's mission is just beginning.